Okay, so this is 2006 question 2. It's a little bit different. It still is a rate problem, so notice as you read it that we're given a rate. Anytime you're given a rate, you want to circle that word and remember that it means we're going to have to integrate to find amounts. That formula does not give us amounts, it gives us rates at a particular time. We're also given a graph. Some of the ones that we've already done had rates in and rates out. This is just a rate, and we're given a graph. I'm not sure why they went ahead and gave you the graph of this one. It is in the calculator section. You do need to use a calculator in order to find your answer, so you can find the graph on your calculator. I may have just done it just to give extra information. So let's move on. Question A says, find the total number of cars turning left in the intersection. We're given the rate of cars turning left, so we need to integrate from the beginning of time to the end of time. So from 0 to 18. Notice when you write this down on a free response question, if they give you the formula for something and name it, you can use the name. You don't have to write the whole formula down. Again, it's a time test, so this is a time saver. They already know what L of t is because they named it L of t, so you can name it L of t. Now, when you put it in your calculator, even though it's in time, we have to use X. Your calculator only knows X. So I went ahead and showed you a few things on the calculator. Notice how I put it in as X. Also notice to square a trig function, you have to put it inside of a parenthesis. I think some calculators will let you do it a different way, but this one will square it that way. All right, so that's how we put it in, and then you can use that if you put it into y equals like I did, you can use y1 every time you need to do something to it. So when you go to your home screen and integrate, you can just do y1 instead of having to put the whole function in again. Again, it's a time saver. So when I integrate, I should get 1,658. Make sure you do a lot of practicing. I'm going to assume these free response questions are going to be heavy in technology because that's what you're using to take the test. So be very careful putting it in. Make sure your answer makes sense with the problem. So we get 1,658 cars. For B part, we're asked to find if there's any time it's over 150. You can look at the graph, kind of draw your line through there, and you can see that there's a piece of that graph that goes above 150. What I did to find these two answers, again, let's get back to I went ahead and put in, for one, when I did the graph of this, you couldn't see the whole curve, so I had to change my window a little bit. It was nice that they gave us a graph that helped us figure out how to change the window, so I knew the graph they gave us went out to 20 and up to 250, so that's what I use for my maxes. The mins can be whatever. I didn't go below 0 for either one, so I just used 0. So then over here, you see I have this red line. I just went ahead and graphed the line y equal 150. So I'm just looking for places where it's above 150. I needed to find these 2 points here where it intersects. I use that calculate button. Do not use the trace button. You will not get it correct. I use calculate, so do second calculate. I wanted to find the intersection here and here. So I had to do it twice, and that gave me those two values here. And then from there, I needed to find the average value. The average value is the integral, because we're looking at values. Sorry. I need the integral from the beginning to the end of the function. And then remember, I divide by the difference. So it's 16.122 minus, around a space, 12.428. And then that is the average value. So it's the integral divided by the difference between the bottom and the top. And that should give you 199.426 cars, and we're going per hour. So there's B part. In C part, it wants to know if there's any 2-hour period that goes above 400 cars. So I know that I'm looking at these values here. Between these two values here is the greatest amount. So I went, okay, well, what about 12 to 14? If I do 12 to 14 and I integrate it, it's not greater than 400. So I went 13 to 15. You can choose any values. You could do 12.428 to the next 2 hours. So 14.428. Just make it simple for yourself. You get points for just knowing to make these two numbers 2 apart. The final answer, if you went from 13 to 15, I think if you go from 14 to 16, it's also greater. If you find any answer that's greater than 400, then you know yes is the answer. It does need a traffic light. It does go above 400.